we decided that we needed to save a bit more money for a deposit for investment property number 3. And we thought a good way to do that would be to rent vest, because we'd been speaking with our coach about rent vesting. And a good way for us to rent vest was to move in with Christy's dad, who also had a 4-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms, but it was just him there. So we were like, let's go live there rent free while we can rent out our property to Sally and, generate some income that way, and we're not paying mortgage and all that kind of stuff.
You're listening to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard.
Hello and welcome to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard, where I get to speak to property investors from around Australia about their investing journey. My name's Tabitha Bright and I'm the head of advising here at Positive Real Estate, where we help people build wealth through property. With over 8,000 clients across Australia and New Zealand, there are some incredible stories to tell, which hopefully make your investing journey that little bit easier and will inspire you along the way. My guest today is Bob Provan, and he's back for part 2 of a series I've done with Bob on some of his investing journey stories. And today we talk about the disasters that can happen when you choose to self-manage an investment property and the double whammy, rent to friends. And then we have a wonderful story to finish off about a great property manager and how much value they can add to your peace of mind as well as your bottom line. Enjoy this conversation with Bob. Hey everybody, and welcome to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard. Your host today, myself, is Tabitha Bright. I'm the head of the coaching and advising team here at Positive Real Estate. With me today, because he's a bit of a sucker for punishment and happy to share his stories, is Bob Provan. So he was in episode 110. So we're shooting for the skies. We've got 111 as our next our next episode, because Bob had some more stories to tell. And sometimes when you have a willing victim, it's great. a willing client that's more than happy to share stories. It's awesome just to get into the nitty-gritty of some of these stories, and Bob has given us permission to share some of his story around property management, because if you tuned into episode 110, which I thoroughly recommend you do, we talk broadly about Bob's experience with investing and some of the challenges as a novice investor that he faced. One of those challenges that he didn't go into in any detail was self-managing his own rental property. And so today we're going to deep dive into that. So Bob, thank you so much. Welcome to the podcast, round 2.
No, thank you very much for having me. I've been very excited to share this, maybe get it off my chest. I don't know, but yeah, very exciting.
Fantastic. And just so we're clear, I'm sure the guys will put something, if they deem it necessary, on the credits of the podcast. Names have been changed. No one's been identified. This is purely, we're just going to call the tenant Sally for today's purposes. And so just wanted to make that crystal clear. Nobody's being identified. So Bob, let's just start from the top. I'm going to hand over the mic to you and say, go for it. So tell us what happened. You had a property. Give us the quick rundown on where it's all sort of started.
Yeah, so we had our PPR, prime place residence, that we were living in Mildura, and one of my partner's friends, we'll call her Sally, had a falling out with her mum and needed somewhere to live. So we said, well, you're one of Christy's really good friends. No worries, you can rent one of our rooms. We've got 3 spare bedrooms, literally just doing nothing, collecting dust with our furniture in there. So we let her move in, and she asked if her boyfriend could move in with her as well. We said, sure, why not? We've got a 4-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms. You guys have that end of the house. We'll have this end. It's all cool. No worries. So that was all cool. For a fair while, like maybe even 8 to 10 months, it was fine. We're just like living with housemates. It was pretty good fun. In that time, we got married. Sally was one of Christy's bridesmaids. So everything was all good, all happy. Then we decided that we needed to save a bit more money for a deposit for investment property number 3. And we thought a good way to do that would be to rent vest, because we'd been speaking with our coach about rent vesting. And a good way for us to rent best was to move in with Christy's dad, who also had a 4-bedroom house, 2
Oh, yeah.
bathrooms, but it was just him there. So we were like, let's go live there, rent free, while we can rent out our property to Sally and, generate some income that way. And we're not paying mortgage and all that kind of stuff.
Can I
So,
ask you a question?
yes.
Just really quickly, I know I'm interrupting your flow. So, did you charge market rent for that property, or did you do a bit of a discount because she was a
No,
mate?
we did not charge market rent for that property.
Okay.
We helped our friend out because she was trying to save money to buy her own house with her boyfriend so that, they could then progress in
Oh,
their lives and get better because, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right. I'll let
So,
you keep moving. Yep.
yeah, no problems. So, yeah, so we decided to self-manage that because she was one of Christy's friends. What can go wrong? What could go wrong? Um, so we let Sally choose her housemates so that she felt comfortable with the people that were in the house instead of us getting randoms and putting randoms in there. We thought, yeah, okay, no, that's a fair enough request from you. We'll allow that. So she had
Mm,
one of her friends in there. And she also had another friend in there who worked in the mines, so she was home 1 week, away for 2. So
okay.
great
So I got another.
housemate, barely sick.
I want to make another point here. So, as Bob knows, he knows I'm going to say this. Whenever we're investors, it's really tough when you mix friendship with investing, and it's not to say that it can't work, but it adds that layer of complexity. And so, when you take over self-managing a property, renting, not only self-managing, because there's 2 layers to this, right? There's the layer that you were self-managing, because you can self-manage and rent to the general public, yeah, and that provides a tiny bit of a difference there, a little bit of a buffer for you. And you can self-manage and rent to family or friends. And a lot of the time, so I've been coaching, as you guys hear me say again and again, for over 17 years now. And during that time, I have met goodness knows how many clients, and I have seen the same problems repeat themselves again and again and again. And one of the key things I always say to clients is please, please, unless you have skills in this area, or you're doing it for a very specific reason, like you want to upskill and learn how to be a property manager, just pay the professionals for the $1,000 a year it costs you. It is fabulous having somebody else deal with all of the, I don't even know where to begin, all of the legislation, all of the emotional challenges. You have a look at any of the podcasts where I've actually interviewed. I think there's one with Kayla Brooks where I interview her life as a property manager and some of the stories she tells about that. And that is their everyday life. So when you choose to take this on, you're actually taking a legal burden on yourself, plus, of course, anything else that goes along with that when you're renting to family and friends. So, as I just stipulated with Bob, doing a good thing for his friend as well has meant that he has taken a little bit of a hit on what their income would be for that property as well. So it's not only a double whammy for Bob, it's actually a triple whammy. So I know you don't mind me pointing it out. You're like,
Ah, that's
yep.
good.
Sometimes you got to learn these lessons yourself, right? So back to you
Yes, no
to carry
problems.
on your own story.
Yeah, so we were renting out per room.
Yes.
Yeah. So the girl that was working away in the mines was fantastic. She was home 1 week out of every 3, paid, fantastic. The other one was late on rent every week, late on bills every month, and it was a hassle to try and contact her and get the money, and it was really, really, really annoying. So the housemate that was always late on rent actually ended up sleeping with Sally's boyfriend.
So,
Whilst, yeah,
okay. All right.
yeah,
So it's
whilst
getting
Sally was
more
at work.
complicated now.
Yep. So now Christy was a property manager, a mediator, and a counsellor, as well as a debt collector.
Okay. So you're essentially managing actually 3 leases. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so we did a 6-month contract for 2 of them and a 12-month contract for Ali that I think we just went on to Chat GPT and typed one up, got him to sign it, sort of thing. Thought we were being all official and this will be perfectly fine. Yeah.
Got it.
So yeah, so
Okay.
she's slept with her boyfriend whilst Sally was at work. Um, Sally has then found out, and the boyfriend's moved out. The other girl moved out. So we're like, oh, okay, we're down on rent. We're not getting as much, so we're still having to pay some of the mortgage, even though we're trying to save money,
Right, okay.
all
And how's
whilst
the
trying to
relationship
mediate.
at this point in time?
It was getting pretty tense, I think, for Christy, especially because her friend was in quite a vulnerable position, but also she's trying to act business-like with like, all right, well, we still need to get some more people into the house. I know that you're a bit upset and emotional at the moment. We have an empty room.
Yeah,
We didn't want to rush getting someone else in because of how everything that was happening. We felt bad and everything.
of
So then,
course.
yeah, there was a few weeks there where it was empty, which was fine. We were, being empathetic, and it was because we're friends. So it was
It's a
like, yep,
hard thing to navigate, isn't it?
yeah,
When you're,
definitely,
and this once again, without stating the bleeding obvious, it's, I mean, I had a little bit of a giggle that it went sideways in such a salacious way before, but in respect to everybody involved, that's a really hard thing to navigate, is particularly when you're all living under the same roof. And then when you're also navigating a business part of that and trying to maintain the professionalism, look after your own finances, which is important, and have empathy for your friend going
yeah,
through a very tough and shitty situation. You've got somebody that's broken a lease. So essentially, they must have broken the lease, yeah?
yep, yep. Which we were like, yep, that's fine. You broke the lease, whatever. And then she didn't
So you
pay
didn't
the
chase
last.
them for anything. You didn't take it out. Did you take it out of the bond?
We didn't get bonds for the first two people.
Ah, okay. All right.
Lesson
All right.
learnt.
Cool. So a
Yeah,
couple of rookie errors there for yourself. Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
So we missed out on the last 2 weeks' rent whilst the other person was there because weren't responsive. We're incognito, and then came while no one was home, got all their stuff and left, and still haven't seen or spoken to her. Don't know where she is. Yes. So then Sally has some friends who were backpackers who she said she'd be okay with them living in the house. Backpacker couple, English backpacker couple,
Yep.
who wanted to stay there for 6 months. So we were like, okay, here's
Yep.
a contract. Could we please have a bond in case anything goes wrong? They were
Yeah.
like, yep, no, that's fine, no problems. And that was all sweet for about 2 months. Then we got a call saying that the hot water system was sometimes working, sometimes not. So we're like,
Right.
okay, how bad is it? Like, have you got hot water all the time? Or she's like, oh, sometimes it'll take a little bit for the hot water to come on, then it'll come on. Sometimes it'll take maybe 10 minutes and we got no hot water. I was like, all right,
Okay.
well, I'll try and organize some quotes to get that fixed.
Yep.
Trying to chase up local plumbers and all this sort of thing. And it's just like a week went by trying to get someone to go and even quote it and replace
Ah,
it. And it was quite frustrating. And then we got contacted by one of Christy's friends, who is a property manager, who is friends with Sally and with Christy. And Sally had been asking her, like, what's the go, like, what can they do? What should they do with hot water service? And she's like, hey, I can get a plumber there for you this afternoon. It'll cost you
right.
this much
Yep.
and it'll be done. We were like, oh, yeah, yeah, can we do that? Please. Yeah. We're like, why didn't we think of contacting her and asking for
So
some
I'm going to
help once we
stop
got
you
this?
there, Bob, because there's a lesson here too, right? So, so why I love property managers is because of the volume. Like, say that an ideal property manager's got, call it 200 clients or tenants that they may be working with, and then on their books. And so with that volume of tenancy, they have access to their their old Rolodex. I don't know if you guys remember those Rolodex card decks back from the 90s, like before you had everybody in your phone. They have fat Rolodexes, virtual Rolodexes. They can reach out and get a professional no matter what time of day, night, and most of the people at their fingertips will mostly do a really good job. Like tradies, like anybody, are human, and there's always somebody that does a rubbish job for some reason. But generally, they keep the property managers sweet. with their quotes and with this standard of delivery, because they want the ongoing business. Yeah. And so it's a wonderful synergy between the property manager and their team of professionals. And you can see, so Bob, how long do you reckon you spent trying to find a plumber for that week? How many
It
hours?
was a week, maybe 8 days at max,
Right.
trying to get
Spending
quotes. Yeah, and then we got quotes like pretty much the day of. We actually got a quote from the same company that our friend got to come and do it, and the quote was $400 more for us as it was for them
the
to do it.
property manager. Okay. So I actually didn't know that. Bob hadn't told me that. And it just goes to illustrate the point that the property managers will get good pricing because they want the team want the repeat business off them. So another reason, I mean, that $400 you save just there
Yeah.
is, and like you think about a property manager, man, like you might pay depending on where you are, because regional areas are often more. What do you pay for a property manager in where did you say? We're
I,
Mildura. What?
yeah, I think we're only paying like 5.5%.
Okay, cool.
We
Because
got
I've
friends
had
discount.
regional properties, yeah, where you pay where you pay a lot more. And it depends in the cities, and you have to look at your contracts and understand them. They can be a little bit like mobile phone contracts where, you know, are you getting charged for every statement,
Yes.
just make sure you're comparing apples with apples. But even so, like that may still only equate to 1 or 2 grand a year for taking all of this pain off your plate. Is
So
the
much pain.
I know you guys are getting the lesson. I'm not meaning to, to state the bleeding obvious, but it's such an important lesson because
Yeah.
you guys, your time is the most precious thing you have, right? And
Yeah.
another thing I want to talk about at some point is bookkeeping. When you get to a certain level with your property portfolio, it's worth getting a bookkeeper. Because, do you want to spend every weekend doing all the accounts or having that massive pile of crap to go through at tax time? Like, it's so worth it. That's another top tip. Anyway, Bob, back to you.
Yes. Yep. So that got fixed that day. All sweet, all good. And then the tenants that we had asked if they could have a week's free rent because they didn't have hot water.
Hmm.
And we were like, well, I don't know about that. So we spoke to our friend and they were like, yeah, look, you can compensate with a percentage because stuff happened. And so we're like, well, how bad was the hot water? That was when we found out that it wasn't working at all and that they were going to friends' houses to shower. And we were like, well, why didn't you
Oh,
tell us that? We could have
because
tried
it
to
would have
push the
been an
tradies a bit harder.
emergency.
You said it
Yeah.
was hot, cold, and not too bad, and you could tolerate it. Lesson there. So we said, okay, we'll give you a 50% discount on your rent each for that week, and we'll pay the whole of the water bill for that month.
Nice.
You know,
Yep.
trying to be nice people. Sorry, we screwed you
Yep.
around. We didn't know that the hot water service wasn't working. Felt
Yeah.
bad.
Wasn't communicated. Yep.
Here is yeah. So yeah, so that was all sweet for about a month. Then the housemate that worked away in the mines fell pregnant, and she wanted to move out and get her own place because she was pregnant. We said, "Yep, that's fine. Totally understand. Can you give us 2 weeks, and we'll try and get someone to come into your room as close as possible to you leaving it so that we're not left vacant." She was like, "Yep, that's fine. Happy to do that." Like 1 or 2 days into the second week, she took all her stuff out and left and didn't pay for the final week of rent that she was there because she said, I was only there for a day or two. And so, well,
Ah.
you were still there at the start of the week. And then so her and Christy had some stern conversations and
Mm.
we got the week rent from her because she realized that we couldn't get anyone else in because she was in and that was all sorted and we didn't lose any money there.
Mm.
Um, so after that, we decided that we would talk to our property manager friend and we said, would you like to manage our property
Nice.
once Sally and the backpackers contracts run out, which was going to be in about 6 months? She's like, yep, that's fine. So we were like, beautiful, that's going to be good. So we said to Sally, hey, in 6 months' time, when your contract with us runs out, we're going to put this property through the real estate agent and the property manager because there's a lot
Get
of
it
hassle.
professionally done.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she responded by saying, "You're kicking me out of my house." We said,
Oh,
we're like,
that's an
"No, no,
unusual response.
yeah, yeah." We're like, "Pardon?" She's like, "So you're saying you're going to kick me out of my house?" We said, "No, we're not kicking you out. We're just letting you know in 6 months' time, when this lease runs out,
Yeah,
we're going to go through a property manager. If you want to rent it through the property manager, by all
no
means,
issue.
go
Yeah,
for
just
it."
renew the lease.
Yep,
Yeah.
we just are sick of being property managers. We're not good property managers, clearly, and we don't want to do it. It was even causing some tensions between Christy and I, because I was like,
Right.
"It's all right,
Which it
like
can, right?
let's just do the right thing," and she was like, "Nah, this isn't right." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Oh, so we're like, let's get a property manager in, and we'll do that. So she was really, really, really salty that we were kicking her out of her house, that we had left all of our furniture in for her because she didn't have any couches, beds, cups, bowls, plates, knives, forks,
Oh gosh,
linen,
so everything.
towel,
You'd left
everything. We
your
took,
stuff there.
yeah, we took our stuff from our bedroom to Christy's dad's and left everything else there for her: fridges, freezers, TVs, lawnmower,
Oh.
so that
So
she
it
could
was a
use it
furnished rental.
furnished, fully furnished,
Fully
vacuum,
furnished rental.
everything. Yeah.
And so did you manage to resolve and clear up her concerns about being kicked out? Did you
We
how
did eventually, after a couple of tantrums. And then
right.
Christy said, "Well, for the final 6 months, could you please put the bills in your name?" Because the bills were still in mine and Christy's name, and they'd come to us, and Christy had to chase them up for the money and do all this. She's like, if I can get one thing off my plate, which is the bills, could we just do that?" And she's like, "That's not fair. I shouldn't have to put the bills in my name." Christy said, "Well, it's your house. Why aren't the bills in your name?" So then that was
Wow.
another tantrum. We did not hear or see her for like 2 weeks. Nothing. Blocked Christy's phone number, blocked Christy on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, everything. We had to get in contact with her through her mum. Oh,
Oh, that is
and
quite unusual behaviour.
yes, yeah, it went like crazy.
It went south. Yeah.
You're quick, yeah. So
Yeah.
we got in contact with her mum, and her mum said that she was going to be moving out in 2 weeks and moving back in with her.
Oh, wow.
So we were like, "Cool, we don't have to wait 6 months." But also,
Oh.
okay, well, is she going to be out in 2 weeks? No worries. We'll head around there in 2 weeks and clean it up and all that sort of stuff.
So let's just pause for a second.
Yep.
Because everyone's got different levels of emotional capability, capacity. um I mean, to me that seems quite I mean, I know it happens all the time. We cross people in all walks of life, of course, with all different levels of capability. I'm just I mean, that is quite unusual. So did you have any notion when you guys were good friends that this behavior kind of happened, or is this
Nah,
like
not really. Like,
totally out of the blue?
I wouldn't like. It wasn't out of the blue. Like, she could have a tantrum here or there, but over something small. But it was never to this extent. Um,
Right.
but Christy is a very, very good communicator and likes to get to the bottom of things, and is very clear in a conversation. So
Nice.
I thought it was handled really well.
Yeah.
Apparently not. So, yeah, we didn't hear from
Oh,
her for a couple of weeks, and then found out from her mum by going through different avenues to get in contact that she was going to move back in with her mum in 2 weeks. So they gave us a
right.
date that she was going to move
Yeah.
back in with her mum, who she'd had a
Yeah.
falling out with, and was why she was living with us. But okay,
Right. Okay. So there is a pattern there of this
I
falling
think
out
so.
with people and
We're seeing it now.
excommunicating, and then yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after the 2 weeks, we went round to the house, opened the front door, and it was trashed. It was a mess.
So define trashed for me.
Yes, I have got some stuff written here for you. So there, there was rubbish like everywhere, in every bedroom, hallway, lounge room, just rubbish left everywhere. Wrappers, bottles, cans, just rubbish,
Wow.
crap, junk, things that she didn't want to take with her, just left in a pile in a bedroom. The pool was filled with leaves, and it was really green, and the filters were blocked. The lawn was either dead or overgrown. There was some door handles that didn't work anymore. The towel rack was on the floor with holes in the wall. Toilet roll holder was on the floor with holes in the wall. Random holes throughout the house. The laundry sink was disconnected and sitting. The laundry tap was disconnected and sitting in the sink in the laundry. Uh,
Oh,
I don't know. That turned the water off underneath somewhere, and just I don't know. She had a dog that was inside that had been peeing on the legs of the tables and the legs of the chairs and all over furniture and on the carpet. We found dog poo in the house in a few different places. Um, the We had soaked into the tiles, it had soaked into the carpet. There was a hole in the garage where she drove her car in. She must have drove in too
oh,
far.
she must have hit the wall.
There was the automatic garage door also didn't open properly because she had reversed into it.
Oh, Bob, how heartbreaking.
I know. There was a heap of rotten vegetables left in the pantry. There's cat hair over everything, stains in furniture, stains on the carpets. It was horrid.
Right. And so, I mean, obviously, this is your first foray into investing,
Yep.
really, isn't it? And that must be pretty heartbreaking on a number of levels. You've
Yeah.
obviously a friendship that was quite significant has gone sideways. And to the best of your ability, you guys have tried to communicate. And, I mean,
We weren't perfect property managers by all means. We definitely made mistakes, but we were also as open as we could about it. We're like, sorry, we didn't realize. Let's try and
yeah,
fix that.
yeah.
Oh, let's fix that. Oh, you should have told me that was broken. I could have fixed it for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, obviously to discover that, what is one of your biggest assets has been so decimated it upsets all of them. I mean, even today, if I had one of my properties trashed, I'd be pretty annoyed about it. So the question that comes to mind is, and I know everyone's going to be wanting to know, is did you have landlords and did you have insurance?
Nope.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because
so lesson number 2. Yeah.
yep, we thought we were helping a friend out and a friend would help us out in return.
Right. And this is really interesting, yeah, because there's that old adage about assume and, makes an ass of you and me. And of course, with all our hearts, we want to think that people see the world the same as us, but they just don't. And for whatever, I look back to my younger days and I think of I used to rent a house off my mum, so I'm sure she could tell you a few stories. I made up what I thought the rent should be. This is how
Oh,
spoiled. Oh
fantastic.
yeah. Yeah, she said $200 a week. And so instead of timesing it by 52, I just went, okay, that's $800 a month. I just did it times 4 per month to benefit me. And she didn't really blink an eye, but I know it irked her a little bit because she was trying to teach me some lessons when I was young. And she had a key to the house and she used to come in and, like any young person, I was just I might have even still been in my teens. She late teens. She was very patient, but the house was a mess all the time. And I just didn't seem to be able to get my shit together. Whereas today, my family hang a lot of shit on me because I go round and tidy up the kitchen before they've even put a cup. They'll get a cup down to make a cup of tea, and I see it on the bench and put it in the dishwasher. And they're like, "Where's the cup?" And I'm like, "Hey, listen, you left it on the bench for more than 2 seconds. It's going away." So they think I'm a complete freak. So you learn different skills, I guess, as you adult more,
Yep.
and sometimes people just aren't where we are. I think is probably the key lesson in
Yeah,
this.
well, one of the last things that she said to Christy was, I hope owning investment properties gets easier for you. So I think there might have been some spite and jealousy maybe seeping in there that her friend was trying to better himself and she was renting off her friend or something.
You
We're
know
not sure.
what? That's really interesting because people can be so threatened when you move outside of what their expectations are for you.
Yep.
Um, And unfortunately, it just says more. It doesn't make her a bad person. It's just that her self-esteem is probably at a place that just couldn't deal with you guys stretching and growing. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because I do want to wax lyrical for a second.
Yeah.
The it is one of the common reasons that I've had clients join Positive Real Estate, because they're looking for a community of like-minded peers. Because when they talk about their investing dreams, when they talk about property, there seems to be a commonality that people are very fast to pour water on people's dreams. And, there's all those cliched sayings about, be careful who you tell your dreams to, and, for good reason. And people think sometimes they're being helpful. And, I've had so many people over the years say, oh, yeah, but you've got all this risk, you've got all this debt. And I just look at their situation and think, my God, you're not educating yourself around money. To me, your risk is far greater than me and my risk right now, because mine's a educated risk that I understand my pros and cons and my get out of jail free card. Like, what do I do if it does go to shit? What are my,
Yep.
what are my fallback positions? Whereas if you're on a salary and you're not saving much and you're relying on super, that to me is bloody risky. So it's a really interesting tell,
Yeah.
as far as
I've
her psychology.
I've
Yeah.
seen her since then. I've seen her,
Yep.
just spoke to her normally. Hey, how you going? I asked how she was, how she's going to her mum's.
Yep.
Completely, fine with me. She's just not happy with Christy, and I'm like, well, that's. I'm not going to treat you any differently. I'm still going to, talk to you as a
Say
normal
hello.
person. Like, I don't
Yep.
hate you. It's all good.
Yep.
It's fine. Everything can be replaced. So it was sort of hard to watch Christy lose a friend. I think it was harder to watch that than it was for me to do all the repairs, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a tough one. And then I guess you question the quality of the friendship you thought you had, right?
Maybe, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so did all the repairs, fixed
Mm.
everything. I think I might have mentioned it to you off air, I can't remember, but I was
Yeah. I think
slowly
there was a
chipping
vague
away
number.
at fixing everything. Because I work for 12 hours a day, I would go around to the investment property and just slowly chip away by, fixing holes in the walls, fixing the gardens, mowing it, pulling out the dead hedges, putting in new ones.
Why did you do it?
Because we thought that that would be the smartest thing to do for me to do it. I'm pretty handy. I'm a tradie, so I thought, oh, I can do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Um, and then Christy told me, I think you can do it. So I was like, yeah, I must be able to do it then. All right.
That's
We
funny.
patched the walls, sanded them back, painted. My mum helped me patch the walls and paint. She's really good at that.
Yeah.
So that was good. So yeah, we're doing all that, slowly chipping away. Whilst that was happening, we were settling over at WA and some stuff was going on over there as well. And Christy was over in Greece sipping mojitos on the beach, asking why the property in
That's the third time
Mildura,
you've mentioned
I
that.
know, I'm not dirty on it, asking why the house in Mildura wasn't ready to be rented out yet. I was like, whoa, kind of busy, got a bit on, but I'll get there.
Yeah, thanks for the tips.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's through a
funny.
property manager now. Everything's all sweet there. Property manager just messages and says, "Hey, tenants asked for this. Yep, that's a reasonable request. Go for it. Here's some quotes for that. No, I don't need that.
Peace of
Stuff like that.
mind?
Oh, it is so good.
Priceless?
I'd pay her more if she asked for more. I hope she's not going to watch, but yeah. Oh, it's been fantastic, fantastic. Um,
Oh. So I
yeah.
just
So
want to pause there, because there's a lesson that maybe, and it may not be a lesson, but it's just a thought. Yeah. So I asked you, how long did it take you to do the renovations?
I was doing it I think we started doing it before Christy went away, and then while she was probably like 6 weeks of
Okay.
every night after work, and then all
Yep.
weekend I was there. The pool pump broke while I was doing other stuff, so I had to replace the pool pump, which was
Okay.
also fun. Yeah.
All right. So
So
6 weeks. So and this is where we start doing the maths, right? If you've got some trades in.
Well, I've done the maths for you if you would like.
Great. Yes, please.
Yes, yes. So we figured out that with everything that it cost us with the skip bins and the new carpet and all that kind of stuff, and our time and the lost rent over that 6 week period of time, we lost $15,000.
Huh. Okay. I thought you might turn it on its head and say you actually came out on top because
Nah,
no.
nah.
Okay. So
Cost us
it
fifteen
actually would
thousand
have been
dollars.
better just to stump up and pay someone,
Just
provided
get a
you could get
handyman.
them in on time. Yeah.
Yep.
And just get it done and get it rented out again.
A lot less stress, a lot more time back in my life to do what I want to do. Yeah, it would have. Yeah, I
You
we
could have
definitely
joined
learned.
Christy in Greece sipping
I could have. I
mojitos.
could have enjoyed. Yep, but we definitely learned a good lesson in that, and that was to outsource. Don't be afraid to outsource to someone that knows what they're doing. It saves you time. It might cost you money, but you could probably claim some of that somewhere.
It's
But
costing money anyway.
exactly, like
And
my
it's going to
time.
cost you time.
Yeah, we
And,
outsource everything now. Yep, you want? Yep, someone else can do that. I'm not doing it.
yep, you really do have to use arbitrage, I guess. You have to think about what can you outsource, particularly in this day and age. And Airtasker is a great one as well. You have to be a little bit careful, but I know, I know, that a lot of fellow investors use Airtasker really successfully. We have an old coach of ours, Priscilla Darcy, and she's just a freaking gun. And she uses Airtasker religiously just to get people in, out. And yeah, every so often she'll hit someone that doesn't show up or does a shoddy job, but 9 times out of 10, she gets a great result from doing that
Yeah,
stuff.
well,
So,
the element in the oven burst while we had these new tenants in,
oh yeah.
and the property manager's like, "Oh, you're an electrician. Do you want to go around and fix it, or do you want me to get someone?" I'm like, "Oh no, get someone. I'm not going there. I don't want to do it." No. Christy's like, "Oh, but we could do it for cheaper." I'm like, "No, not doing it. Someone else can. I'm not going there."
So then you have all the liability if it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just like,
nah. Can
"Nope."
I tell you a funny story? Because since we're talking about disasters and bits and pieces. So, another reason why we have insurances and everything, folks.
I have insurance
So,
now and lots of it.
good man. Yeah, there's some really important lessons in this story. And once again, to highlight, as much as Bob and Christy have been frustrated by this experience, it's not to make anyone bad or to show anyone up. It's the lessons that we want you guys to take away from this, because they're universal lessons. It's not about Sally and her bad behaviour. It's or perceived or alleged bad behaviour. It's about the lessons that Bob and Christy have learned around managing a property and taking the pain out of it. Because when you're dealing with, you hear one of the things that we call a barbecue story that, you tell people you invest in property and they're like, oh, yes, but what about this? And if a tenant does this, this is when it becomes a problem, when you're doing everything that Bob did and has learned not to do. I had a tenant, and I did have a property manager, thank goodness, because I probably would have strangled him. He was a solicitor, and he was well known to be a little bit of a troublemaker. I found out afterwards, but it was a small rental pool. It was a kind of seaside coastal town, close to some major capital cities, but was still classed as regional, right? I'll say that. And I had some property there and he rented off me. And the property manager had a request that one of the elements on the top of the stove was not working. So he had 3 working elements. So it wasn't classed as emergency. He had 3 working elements, but they were fixing it that week. And they were really good property managers. They did me proud. And I got a call from the property manager and she said, Tab, you're not going to believe it. She said, the guy's gone out and he's replaced his own element. And he's saying that when he put it back in the stovetop, that a chip of the enamel paint flew up and landed in his eye, and he was temporarily blinded. Therefore, he couldn't do his work, and he wants to sue you for loss of wages. And I'm just like, it's like, are you serious?
No.
And like, this is in all my time investing, and it's a long time, folks. I'm not going to age myself again by telling you how long, just say long time, probably longer than some of you have been alive. And all that time, I've really only had probably 2 really annoying tenants, and this would be one of them. And I was just like, seriously? And she said, look, I'll see if I can go back and negotiate with him and tell him he's dreaming and he's just being basically a dickhead, if I can say that. And and she came back to me 2 weeks later. She said, listen, I've got him down. She said, if you're prepared to give him a week's free rent, then he'll drop it. And that little part of you that goes, no way, like this is so not cool. It's so, or maybe it was 2 weeks rent. I can't. It was enough that it annoyed me,
Yep.
and I just thought, geez, he's just, he's set this up beautifully for himself. I don't even know if that element was actually not working or not. I reckon he just wanted a discount. Yeah.
Oh.
And yeah. So then you start going down this rabbit hole of what ifs.
Yeah.
And in the end, and she said to me, Tab, honestly, like, she'd looked him up again, and I don't know why she hadn't done it properly when she first leased it. But she said, listen, he does have a bit of a history, I've since found out, of doing this kind of thing. And she said, what we'll do is we'll get him out as soon as the lease. And she said, just give him what he's asking for, and it'll go away. Otherwise, this is going to escalate, and it's going to be a shit,
Yeah.
a shit show. And so I just bit the bullet and gave him his bloody week or 2 weeks rent free. But it sat with me all this time.
Oh yeah.
Because fairness is really important to me. I really like to be fair, and that I felt really impinged upon.
We felt the same. We're like, we wanted to be fair, we wanted to be helpful. We were probably too
Yeah.
helpful, and then
You
it
do
was,
a good
and then they were
job
just
for
trying
a
to take more
tenant.
and more, and you're like, I can't give you any more. Like, what do you? Oh, yeah. Yep, I agree there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it is. It's tough being a landlord. And I know there's people out there who will go, "Oh yeah, poor landlords," and I get the sentiment. But for the most part, the landlords that I talk to are are wanting to do the right thing by their tenants. They're wanting to provide good quality housing for people that appreciate, the roof over their head, and will look after the property, and it's a win-win scenario. And I've had so many clients come to me and say, oh, I don't know if I can put the rent up. Like, the property manager's telling me I can get some more rent in the market, that rents are all at this level, but this is this person's story, and I just don't know I can do it. And there is this moral compass. You have to look after your own financial position, because I believe if you don't look after yourself, you can't help anybody. But also, when we are in a privileged position, you do have the capacity to do a little bit of good out there. And it's your own grey zone. It's different for everyone.
yep,
Anyway, I'm going off tangent.
that's
So back
cool.
to you.
Back to, yeah. So now I have a good story about property
Oh,
manager if you
okay,
would like. So
awesome.
it's
Tell
not
me a
all
good
bad.
story.
Everyone can rest easy. It's not all
We're
bad.
going to
They are,
finish on a
yes.
high.
So our property over in WA, when we got handed the keys for that, and the property managers went in and all that sort of stuff, and got tenants in, the tenants went to the property manager after about a month and asked when the back fence was going to get finished.
Huh.
And the managers called us and said, "Oh, hey, do you guys know when the back fence is going to get finished?" And we said, "What do you mean? Is it not finished? Isn't there a back fence there? Because it's over in WA. We're over here. We got an inspector to go, and he ticked everything off." And so we're like, "Oh, okay." We were like, we thought there was going to be a fence. We contacted the builder. Builder got us onto the fencing contractor, who said, "Oh yeah, you were meant to tell us just before it was finished, and we're going to order the parts. We'll order them now." Okay, cool. They ordered the parts. Parts came, property organised with the property manager to go to the site and put the back fence in. 2 days later, we got a call from the property manager saying, "Hey, there's still no back fence, but they went there a couple of days ago. Do you know what's going on?" So we called the fences, and they said, "Oh, yeah, the guys realised they were the wrong parts, and that the parts that we need aren't covered in your build, and it's going to cost you just over $3,000 for the parts that you need to do this fence." So we went back to the property manager and told her that, and she was like, "Nah, I'm not having that." She's like, "Give me their contact details." So we gave the contact details to the fencer. She was talking to the fencer. The fencer wouldn't budge. She called the builder, got the phone number for the developer from the builder, because it was in a new development, and spoke with the developer. And the developers said, "Really? They didn't do that? Okay, well, we'll come and we'll build the fence, and free of charge, all that kind of stuff, because it was meant to be done." They've come, looked at it, Also noticed that the mailbox that they put in was just a cheap little $20 thing from Bunnings. All the mailboxes are meant to be brick
Of a
built
certain standard, yeah.
because it's in a development and everything's meant to look the same. They're like, they haven't done this either. So they built us a mailbox for free. They did the fence. And then they also said from the front door, there's meant to be a landscaped footpath out to what is a park out the front door. And then because you access through the back, and that hadn't been done, and there was bushes overgrown out the front. So they've landscaped out the front, done a footpath right to the front door and everything, all free of charge because it was supposed to have been done. But we
Yeah.
didn't have to do anything because the property manager organised all of it and just dealt with them
Wow.
for us and was like, hey, by the way, this is done now. Here's some pictures. And we were like, thank you. Fantastic. So we sent her
Oh.
some presents over Christmas to say, thank you and all that kind of stuff. And we've got a really great relationship with her, even though we've only ever spoken to her via email or phone. Never met her or
Oh,
anything, but
she
it's
sounds like a
been,
legend.
I know, right? It was so good. And to go from that to that, we were like, we should have got property managers from the start. So it was just really good to know that property managers are out there and they'll do their job for you. We were like, oh, she even asked, like, can I talk to them so that you don't have to? That's my job. And we're like, oh, okay, that'd be great.
Oh,
So
that's amazing. I think when you do get a good property manager, honestly, they are worth their weight in gold because they make all the problems go away.
yeah, we were
Um,
like worried, like, oh God, we're going to go down another rabbit hole here. What's going to happen? Oh no, all sorted. You've got it under control. Beautiful. So
God, if I was the developer, I'd be pretty dark on those guys.
yes,
I'd
so
subcontracted too.
she told us that the developers phoned the builders and gave them a very stern talking to. Um,
Oh, to
yeah.
be a fly on the wall.
Oh yes. So I was like, oh cool. That's good to know. So that
Oh,
was
that's amazing. And
yeah,
I mean, maybe she dealt with other houses and that, and she kind of had an idea. Maybe, yeah.
maybe.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was great outcome. So we
Oh,
love
that's
property managers
awesome.
now. Can't talk highly enough of property managers.
Yeah, we love you, property managers. Yep, you're certainly worth your weight in gold. And
Definitely.
we love it when property management goes right, right? Because like all things, it can go sideways, and you have to. One of the things we teach our clients, in fact, I need to do another session on it, is how to qualify your property manager and make sure that you've got a property manager that has the capacity and the experience to look after you as an investor.
I did
Yeah.
interview all of our property managers following your guidelines.
Oh, the checklist, awesome.
Yeah. I got it. I was like, right, if we're going to get a property manager, I'm going to do that. I'll do that. Yeah. Just interviewed them all and spoke to a heap of different ones and was like, yep, this is the one for us. And lucky we did because I reckon we obviously got a really good one. So do your
Yeah.
homework. Get a good
Do
one.
your homework, 100%. Oh, well, that's good to know. Oh, that's awesome. All righty. So anything else on your on your list
Oh,
of
look, I don't
lessons?
think so. I don't think so. There might be, but I think that's enough.
Well, that's fantastic. And look, I know everyone will really appreciate you sharing everything from your and Christy's perspective. So really, really appreciate it. As far as any other lessons, I think I've summarized them as we went through. But get insurance. Tell me if I forget something, Bob. Get insurance.
Definitely.
Get a property manager. Don't do it yourself. And certainly don't rent to family and friends. Occasionally it does go right, but 9 times out of 10 it goes
Yeah.
sideways really, really fast. And get insurance. Yep.
Yes, definitely get
Yeah.
insurance. Oh, and a
Awesome.
bookkeeper. Don't be afraid to get a
Oh,
bookkeeper
yeah.
further down the track.
Yeah, bookkeeper can save you some time and money. Oh, yeah, and hire tradies. Don't yep.
Yes. Even hire an electrician if you are one. It's easier.
It is true. It is true. It is true. It's like me as a coach. I don't even bother coaching myself. There's
No,
just no point. You always get
exactly.
somebody else to coach you. I offered to the team actually. I think on Monday I said, "Does anyone want to coach me?" And they all declined. So I don't know quite. Yeah, work that one out. I don't
Oh,
know
goodness.
quite what to think of that. I'm going to have to ask them. But
Get some
we'll see. We'll
clarification on
see.
that one.
Well, I haven't taken it too personally, but I'm definitely going to ask them for their feedback. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again, Bob, and we'll see you around the traps soon.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye for now. Hey, thanks for listening to Property Investor Tales. Remember to subscribe so you get notified every time a new episode drops. As you can guess, I love hearing people's property investor tales. So if you'd like to share yours, then please get in touch with me via email at propertyinvestortales@positivementor.com.au. We would also love your feedback, and I would appreciate a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Remember, you can watch all of these podcasts over on YouTube at Positive Mentor or at positivementor.com.au. Until then, take care, happy investing, and bye for now.